When we start talking about the best attackers in Rainbow Six Siege, things can get heated real fast. Everyone has their favorites, and just because an operator isn't dominating the pro scene doesn't mean they're bad. On the flip side, just because an operator is popular in competitive play doesn't automatically make them perfect for your ranked games. A lot of it comes down to playstyle, team coordination, and how comfortable you are with their gadget. So instead of us saying this is the only correct list, think of this tier list as a smart guideline to help you make better picks on the attacking side. Now let's break down what these tiers actually mean. S and A tiers are packed with the most reliable, versatile attackers in the game, the ones you can confidently lock in without overthinking it. They fit into almost any strategy and consistently bring value. B tier operators are still strong and can work in most situations, but they might need a bit more planning. Once we get into C, D, and E tiers, we're talking about much more situational picks, operators who shine in very specific setups or niche strategies. With that in mind, let's dive into the Rainbow Six Siege attacker tier list and see who really deserves the spotlight. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking attackers in Rainbow Six Siege. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The attackers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Iana, Jackal, and Nock. If you ever lock in one of these next attackers and your team goes silent for a second, yeah, you probably just picked from E tier. And look, that doesn't mean they're unplayable. It just means in a game with more than 70 operators, these three are currently fighting an uphill battle for relevance. They all have cool concepts on paper, but in ranked 2026, let's just say they're not exactly first pick material. Let's start with Iana. She uses the Gemini replicator to send out a holographic clone that scouts ahead and gathers information. On paper, that sounds amazing. Free intel, no risk, big brain plays. But here's the problem, experienced defenders spot that hologram instantly. The movement gives it away, the behavior gives it away, and half the time someone just swings and deletes it without a second thought. Sure, you can check a dangerous angle safely, but most of the time the value you get simply does not justify picking her over stronger intel or entry options. She feels like a cool gadget in a lobby full of serious utility monsters. Then there's Jackal. Once upon a time, he was the king of anti-roam. His Inox Model 3 scanner could track defenders like a bloodhound on caffeine. Now, it's been toned down heavily. Fewer scans, more counterplay, and defenders have learned how to waste his time. Instead of locking roamers down, he often just annoys them briefly before they reposition. In coordinated play especially, roamers communicate, adapt, and suddenly Jackal is just another gun with a slightly inconvenient gadget. He is not useless, but he is nowhere near the terror he used to be. And finally, Nock, the stealth queen. She uses the HEL presence reduction device to move more quietly and hide from certain cameras, which sounds perfect for sneaky solo plays. The fantasy is amazing. Silent entry, isolated picks, defenders confused. The reality? Good defenders rely on sound cues, crossfires, and team communication. They may not see her clearly on cameras, but they will hear something, they will notice something, and coordinated teams shut her down fast. Her stealth advantage is real, but it is inconsistent, and in high-level lobbies, inconsistency gets you punished. So yeah, E tier is a little rough right now. But balance changes happen, metas shift, and sometimes all it takes is one update for these attackers to climb back into the spotlight. Until then, if you pick them, just be ready to prove your team wrong. The attackers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Amaru, Fuse, Glaz, Kaylee, Rawora, Sense, Sledge, and Zero. Some operators do not fall flat. They just feel like they are waiting for their moment. That is exactly what D tier is in 2026. These attackers are not terrible, not troll picks, not what are you doing choices, they just are not shaping the meta right now. And honestly, sometimes learning these underdogs early is the smartest long-term play you can make. Let's talk about Amaru first. She storms into buildings with the Gara hook like she is in an action movie, flying through windows and hatches before defenders can blink. The early pressure can be insane. But here is the catch, if defenders are ready, she turns into free elimination content. Her entire identity revolves around high-risk aggression. When it works, you look like a genius. When it fails, you are back in spectator mode, explaining yourself to the team. Fuse is next, and he is the king of chaos. His cluster charges deploy explosive grenades through soft surfaces, clearing rooms and forcing defenders to move. In the right situation, it is devastating, but maps are not always kind to him. Reinforced surfaces shut him down, vertical positioning is not always available, and using his gadget safely can be tricky. Half the time you are calculating angles and hoping you do not get wall-banged mid-animation. Then we have Glaz, the long-range specialist. His OTS-03 marksman rifle combined with a thermal scope allows him to see enemies through smoke, which sounds like a dream for execute scenarios. The problem is speed. Siege rounds in 2026 are fast, explosive, and chaotic. Glaz prefers patience, positioning, and controlled engagements. If your team cannot properly set up smoke plays, he starts feeling less like a sniper and more like a liability. Kaylee brings serious utility with the LV explosive lance, which destroys defender electronics even behind reinforced walls. That alone gives her strategic value. But she carries a bolt-action sniper rifle, and that means every missed shot hurts. In close-range fights, which happen constantly in Siege, she can feel extremely unforgiving. If your aim is not sharp, you are basically volunteering for disadvantageous duels. Rawara is all about disruption and space control. On paper, that sounds powerful. In practice, her gadget can be inconsistent and often requires very specific setups to shine. When everything lines up, she influences the round beautifully. When it does not, you are left wondering if a more straightforward operator would have made a bigger impact. She is situational in a meta that rewards reliability. Sens uses the Roller's optical unit projector system to create temporary light barriers that block defender vision. The idea is fantastic for crossing dangerous sightlines and setting up executes. The reality is that defenders adapt quickly. They shoot through it, reposition, or simply wait it out. The device can absolutely work, but it does not always guarantee the safe passage attackers hope for. Sledge is a classic. The tactical breaching hammer made him a vertical pressure icon for years, smashing floors, destroying gadgets, creating chaos from above. The issue now is competition. Other operators can create similar pressure faster or from safer distances. He still works, he is still reliable, but he no longer feels like the automatic vertical pick he once was. And finally, Zero. He deploys Argus cameras through walls to gather intel on defender positions. Information wins rounds, so that is valuable. But experienced defenders listen for the audio cue, spot the camera, and destroy it quickly. When the cameras survive, they are amazing. When they do not, you are left with less impact than expected. That is the story of D tier in a nutshell. Strong ideas, solid potential, just not consistently meta right now. The attackers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Osa. Alright, now we're entering C tier territory, and things start to get interesting. These attackers are not outright weak, they just thrive in very specific situations. They shine on certain maps, certain bomb sites, or when your team knows exactly how to play around their gadgets. Pick them randomly, and you might feel underwhelmed. Pick them smartly, and suddenly you're the MVP nobody saw coming. Take Osa, for example. She wields the Talon 8 clear shields, which let her control angles and block defender vision like a pro. In coordinated pushes or when setting up a plant, she can be a game changer. But, and it's a big but, those same shields can become liabilities if defenders are ready to destroy or flank them. So yeah, Osa's impact is highly situational, but in the right hands and the right scenario, she can completely turn the tide of a round. The attackers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Brava, Buck, Capital, Flores, Finca, Gridlock, Hibana, IQ, and Thermite. Stepping into B tier, we are talking about operators who are solid, reliable, and capable of making big plays, but with just enough quirks or limitations to keep them out of the top S and A tiers. These are your dependable toolbox operators, strong in almost every scenario, but you have to understand their strengths and weaknesses to get the most out of them. First up, Brava. She's all about turning defender gadgets against them with her clutch drones. Hack a camera, flip a trap, mess with electronics. She can create chaos for gadget-heavy defenses. The catch? Her impact depends heavily on the enemy lineup. If there aren't many hackable devices, she can feel a little wasted, like bringing a wrench to a knife fight. Buck is next, the versatile skeleton key wielding wonder. His skeleton key shotgun lets him make vertical openings from above or below, giving your team insane map control. But here's the thing, the angles he opens are only as good as your team's coordination. Without teammates ready to capitalize, those openings become glorified holes in the floor. Capitone brings tactical firepower to the team with his crossbow, firing smoke bolts and fire bolts. These aren't just flashy, they block sightlines, flush defenders, and force movement. He really shines during site executes when the team is synced, but in solo or chaotic rounds, those bolts can feel like wasted potential. Flores is your utility destroyer. His RCE Rotero explosive drones can safely dismantle defender gadgets and defensive setups, giving your team cleaner entry points. But defenders are not helpless. They can shoot the drones or disable them before they detonate. Timing and positioning are everything with Flores. Finca steps in as a strong support option. Her adrenal surge boosts health and improves weapon control for teammates nearby, giving that extra edge in firefights. Still, compared to some higher tier support operators, her utility is situational. It helps, but it doesn't completely dominate the round. Gridlock is all about controlling flanks. Her track stingers spread across the floor, slowing or damaging any defenders who try to push through. This makes her a fantastic anchor during late round pushes or plant setups, but she's less flashy than operators who directly eliminate enemies or gather intel. Hibana remains one of the most reliable hard breachers. Her X-Kairos launcher lets her open reinforced hatches and walls safely from a distance. While incredibly useful, other hard breachers often provide more flexible breach options, meaning Hibana is strong, but not always the perfect fit for every map or site. IQ is your gadget detective. Her electronics detector reveals hidden defender devices through walls, helping the team avoid traps and cameras before committing to a push. Very useful, very tactical, but she doesn't directly neutralize enemies, so she relies on teammates to capitalize on the intel she provides. And finally, Thermite. The classic hard breacher with exothermic charges that blast open reinforced walls. Extremely effective when used correctly, but placement matters. Stand too close or pick the wrong wall and he becomes vulnerable. In the hands of a coordinated team though, Thermite is still a nightmare for defenders. B-tier operators are all about smart play, teamwork, and knowing when and how to use their gadgets. Pick them blindly and you might underperform. Pick them with purpose and you'll see just how much firepower and utility they can bring to the table. The attackers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Ashe, Blackbeard, Deimos, Lion, Maverick, Thatcher, Twitch, Ying, Zofia, and Blitz. Now we're in A tier, where things start getting really spicy. These operators aren't just solid, they make rounds feel easier, more controllable, and downright chaotic for defenders. You'll see a mix of entry breachers and support specialists here, all capable of shutting down enemy gadgets or forcing them into awkward positions. Pick these right, and you feel like the MVP every single round. Let's kick things off with Ashe. She's the original OG of aggressive attackers. Breaching rounds let her destroy defender gadgets and open soft walls instantly, and pair that with her strong R4C assault rifle, and you've got a 1-2 punch of chaos. She's perfect for high-speed, aggressive pushes where every second counts. Blackbeard is next, and his reworked rifle shield is scary. Being able to peek and shoot with your primary while still protected by a shield makes him a nightmare for defenders. Sure, counters exist, but the intimidation factor alone gives him top tier status. People hesitate, they miss shots, and suddenly you've won the duel before it even starts. Blitz is the classic panic inducer. Flash shield in close quarters, absolute chaos. Push a plant site with your team while flashing enemies and they will scatter like headless chickens. Even at higher ranks, coordinated teams sometimes fall apart under that kind of pressure. Deimos brings precision and control. His deathmark tracker lets you and your team focus on specific operators, often roamers who are trying to harass your push. That number advantage can swing fights dramatically, especially when your team coordinates the takedown. Lion is all about stopping defenders in their tracks. His EE-1D drone can freeze enemies mid-move, making them easy targets. Timing this with a team push is devastating. The defenders are highlighted, vulnerable, and often forced into mistakes. Maverick is for the tactical minds. Pinpoint holes in reinforced defenses let you attack with surgical precision. When your team capitalizes, it can instantly swing the round in your favor. But it requires awareness and coordination. Wasted holes are just wasted potential. Thatcher is timeless. Disabling enemy gadgets and even reinforced walls makes him indispensable in a meta with gadget-heavy defenses. The more gadgets defenders have, the more valuable he becomes, and his utility scales perfectly with game updates. Twitch is Thatcher's high-tech counterpart. Her shock drones safely take out traps and the defender electronics without risking herself, making her ideal for clearing paths and creating safer entries. Combine her with an aggressive push, and you're looking at guaranteed chaos for the defenders. Ying's Candela flash charges are like flash grenades on steroids. perfect for teams who like to rush objectives and disorient defenders. Throw those Candela charges in, and defenders are blinded, panicked, and struggling to coordinate while your team storms the site. And finally, Zofia. Her KS-79 lifeline provides both concussive grenades and explosive rounds, giving her insane versatility. She can disrupt defenders, clear gadgets, and support entry pushes all in one package. Essentially, she is a Swiss Army knife of utility, perfect for almost any attack scenario. A tier is where coordination meets raw impact. These operators make aggressive plays safer, precise pushes more deadly, and defender setups a lot more stressful. Choosing any of these guys is a safe bet for high-value rounds and team dominance. The attackers in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Ace, Dokebi, Grim, Montagne, Nomad, Ram, Solid Snake, and Striker. Alright, welcome to S tier, the big leagues. These are the operators you pick when you want to dominate a round, the ones that make defenders sweat the moment you show up. Honestly, if you grab any of these guys, you're almost guaranteed impact. And banning them? Well, that's a whole other strategy discussion. First up, Ace. Still one of the best hard breaches in the game. His Selma Aqua breaches can open reinforced walls from a safe distance, and you can even make multiple breach points. Pair that with his excellent weapon options, and you've got a near perfect operator for almost every attacking scenario. He's basically the safest bet in the current meta. Dokebi is next, and she's pure chaos for the defenders. Her logic bomb makes the enemy team stop and pull out their phones, or risk being highlighted. And don't forget, you can hack their cameras after getting at least one frag, which is huge for intel. She's disruptive, sneaky, and deadly, making her one of the top attackers right now. Grim brings the Kawan Hive launcher, one of the best tracking gadgets on the attacker side. Use it to smoke out defenders and secure control during that crucial final push to the plant site. Timing it right? Absolute round-winning potential. Montaigne, the classic shield god, is still a monster. Slide in front of defenders, gather intel without dying, and guard the plant site like no one else. With good positioning, he turns chaos into order and is undeniably S-tier material. Nomad is all about map control. Her air jab grenades counter roamers, slow down diffusers near the bomb, and generally make life miserable for the defenders. Place them smartly, and you can literally win a round by denying time and space. Ram brings vertical destruction with her BUGI auto breacher. Floors, soft surfaces, angles, she tears through them all, constantly pressuring defenders and opening paths for her team. If map control is your goal, Ram is an absolute must-have. Solid Snake. Yes, the legend lives up to the name. His mini-map device gives your team the ability to pick perfect entry points and track enemies wherever they hide. Skill is required, but the payoff is insane. He's a game changer in the right hands. And finally, Striker, also known as the Recruit, but don't underestimate them. By combining two secondary gadgets, Striker can mimic many other operators' capabilities, making them flexible and perfect for countering a wide range of playstyles. S-tier versatility at its finest. S-tier is all about operators who don't just contribute, they dominate, control, and dictate the flow of a round. Pick them wisely, play them well, and defenders won't know what hit them. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.